It begins like any other day. The sun rises, alarms buzz, coffee brews. But something is wrong. You reach for your phone, nothing loads. The spinning icon never resolves. Wi-Fi is down. The router blinks, but there's no signal. You try to shrug it off, but the problem follows you outside. Your car's GPS can't connect. The radio is static, except for scattered emergency broadcasts. At the coffee shop, credit cards are useless. The line grows anxious, cash only. The internet, the invisible force powering modern life, has vanished. Every screen is dark. The nation is unplugged and no one knows why. Our lives run on digital connections, alarms, work, shopping, even healthcare. The global economy depends on trillions in daily digital transactions. But this invisible web is built on fragile physical infrastructure. 99% of global data travels through undersea cables, not satellites. Cut a few cables and entire nations can be isolated. Cyber attacks can hijack, reroute, or poison the systems that direct our data. These aren't just theories. They've happened in Estonia, Ukraine, and beyond. Understanding the first 24 hours of a blackout isn't just academic. It's about survival in a world built on a fragile digital lifeline. Most of the world's data doesn't fly through the air. It travels through over 500 undersea cables stretching more than 1 million kilometers. These cables are thin, fragile, and exposed to both accidents and sabotage. Choke points like the Suez Canal or New York's landing stations are especially vulnerable. Severing just a few can turn a country into a digital island. Repairs are slow and costly, taking weeks or months. Our seamless digital world depends on these hidden, breakable threads. The threat of a blackout starts here, on the ocean floor. Internet exchange points, IXPs, are the internet's beating heart, where networks meet and data flows. A successful attack on a major IXP could paralyze millions. Data centers, the digital factories of our age, are also high-value targets. Disabling a few key data centers could ripple across the global economy. The internet's centralization makes these hubs tempting targets for both physical and cyber attacks. Taking them down would sever access to public, corporate, and government systems. Our digital society is only as strong as its most vulnerable hubs. DNS is the internet's address book, translating names like google.com into machine-readable numbers. Without DNS, the web is unusable for most people. DDoS attacks can flood DNS servers, making the internet appear down even if cables are intact. DNS poisoning can redirect users to fake sites, stealing data or spreading disinformation. On a national scale, this can cause chaos and erode trust. The system relies on a handful of root servers. If compromised, the consequences are catastrophic. DNS attacks turn the internet's logic against itself. The address book that keeps us connected can also be weaponized. The most direct way to disconnect a nation is physical sabotage, cutting undersea cables and attacking key infrastructure. Specialized ships or submarines could sever multiple cables at once, causing instant, widespread outages. Repairs are slow, leaving countries isolated for weeks or months. On land, attacks on IXPs and data centers can cripple domestic networks. Destroying these hubs is like blowing up highway interchanges. Traffic grinds to a halt. A coordinated assault could shatter a nation's connectivity, plunging it into chaos. These capabilities exist today. Our digital world is anchored by physical assets, vulnerable and all too real. In a digital siege, attackers use botnets to unleash massive DDoS attacks, flooding targets like government or financial sites with junk traffic. For citizens, it feels like a total internet blackout. Websites fail, services vanish, and communication stops. Estonia's 2007 cyber attack showed how a nation can be paralyzed by digital means alone. Today, overwhelming the system is a powerful weapon, pushing entire countries into digital darkness. Some of the most dangerous cyber attacks don't destroy, they deceive. BGP hijacking and DNS poisoning manipulate the very trust that keeps the internet running. Attackers can reroute or intercept entire nations' data, create digital black holes, or send users to fake sites. These attacks poison the well of information, making it impossible to know what's real online. The blackout begins not with a bang, but with a silent, baffling void. In the first hour, the dominant emotion is not panic, but simple frustration. It starts in millions of homes simultaneously. People wake up and reach for their phones, only to find their digital window to the world shuttered. The newsfeed is frozen on yesterday's headlines, messages hang unsent. The weather app shows a spinning wheel of death. The initial assumption is personal and localized. It is an annoyance, a disruption to the morning routine. This individual confusion soon gives way to a shared, neighborhood-level bewilderment. As people leave their homes, they find the problem is not isolated. The car's GPS refuses to lock onto a signal. The digital billboards that line the highways are blank. At the train station, the schedule boards are frozen. Commuters start talking to each other, a rare occurrence. The scale of the issue starts to become apparent, but its cause remains a mystery. The silence is the most unsettling part. No podcasts, no streaming music. By the end of the first hour, the problem has escalated from a personal inconvenience to a public disruption. In city centers, cafes and shops are struggling. The point-of-sale systems that process credit and debit cards are universally offline. Cash-only signs are hastily scribbled and taped to glass doors. The rhythm of commerce, so dependent on instantaneous digital transactions, has been broken. For the first time, a flicker of genuine anxiety begins to spread through the crowds. This is clearly not a normal outage. The digital scaffolding that holds up the morning rush has collapsed. The official silence is deafening. With news websites and social media platforms inaccessible, information is impossible to find. People try tuning into car radios, searching for answers, but many stations are just static. The few that are broadcasting are playing emergency alert tones and vague, unconfirmed reports of a widespread network disruption. The lack of clear information is a breeding ground for rumor and speculation. Is it a solar flare, a massive technical failure? The word attack begins to be whispered, a chilling thought that seems too dramatic, too cinematic for a Tuesday morning. In just 60 minutes, the nation has moved from blissful connectivity to a state of profound and unnerving uncertainty. As the blackout drags on, panic sets in. ATMs are empty, stores are cash only, and lines at gas stations stretch for blocks. Offices and businesses grind to a halt. Hospitals scramble with paper records, unable to access digital files. Communication collapses, phones are useless, landlines overwhelmed. People are cut off from loved ones, isolated and afraid as the true cost of digital silence becomes clear. Hours 6 to 12, the cascade of failure. As the sun reaches its zenith, society's fragility is exposed. Supply chains break down, supermarket shelves empty, and panic spreads. Traffic grinds to a halt, emergency services are trapped, and the financial system teeters. With no information, fear grows. The nation is not just disconnected, it's coming apart at the seams. As dusk settles, a new kind of darkness falls. The internet's absence makes the night feel deeper, cities eerily quiet, and people isolated. Hopes for a quick fix have faded, replaced by dread. Hospitals struggle, emergency systems fail, and the nation is thrown back a century in a single day. As the first day ends, people huddle in silence, wondering, will the world ever reconnect? A prolonged internet blackout would trigger an economic ice age, freezing the mechanisms of modern society. Digital payments halt, stock markets go dark, and supply chains collapse. Factories shut down, food spoils, and unemployment skyrockets. The economy reverts to bartering, erasing decades of progress. This is not just a recession, it's the unraveling of modern economic fabric. Without the internet, the social fabric unravels. Information becomes rumor, trust dissolves, and communities turn inward. Shared experiences vanish, leaving isolation and fear. Economic divides deepen, and conflict rises as resources grow scarce. The digital commons, once a space for connection, is gone, replaced by suspicion and fragmentation. Society, stripped of its glue, becomes brittle, divided, and vulnerable to fracture. A prolonged internet blackout is an existential threat to the modern state. Government machinery, tax collection, and essential services would grind to a halt. Law enforcement and military operations would be crippled. The state's ability to govern, communicate, and maintain order would collapse, risking a fractured nation and the rise of alternative powers. The internet is the nervous system of modern governance. When a nation goes dark, it's instantly isolated, cut off from global markets, diplomacy, and information. The world sees a black hole of instability, while rivals exploit the chaos, spreading disinformation and seizing opportunities. The economic shockwaves ripple worldwide, alliances are tested, and the balance of power shifts. In the digital age, to be unplugged is to become a ghost on the world stage. State-sponsored internet shutdowns are no longer theoretical, they're a chilling reality. In 2007, Estonia faced massive cyber attacks, paralyzing its digital society. Ukraine's ongoing conflict has seen both cyber and physical attacks on its networks. In 2019, Iran's government cut off the internet to suppress protests. These acts reveal how easily a nation's connectivity can be severed, isolating citizens and crippling societies, reminding us that the internet's openness is more fragile than we think. Sometimes the greatest threats to the internet aren't hackers, but accidents and physical failures. In Mauritania and Tonga, a single severed undersea cable plunged entire nations into digital silence. No banking, no communication, no relief coordination. These events reveal the fragility of our global network, where a misplaced anchor can do what a cyber attack might only dream of. The real threat lies not just in code, but in the cables beneath the sea. In the face of catastrophic threats, governments and tech giants are building a digital fortress, layered defenses to protect the internet's core. National agencies and private companies work together, monitoring threats, strengthening infrastructure, and ensuring redundancy. International alliances share intelligence and coordinate responses, recognizing that an attack on one is a threat to all. This digital fortress stands strong, built on technology, cooperation, and the promise of a powerful response. True preparedness starts at home and in our communities. When blackouts strike, local resilience is critical. Mesh networks and emergency kits help us stay connected and safe. Community plans, shared skills, and mutual support make a difference. In the absence of digital networks, our human connections become our greatest strength. Together, we can endure the darkness until the light returns. We have journeyed to the brink of a digital abyss, exploring a scenario that is as plausible as it is terrifying. Our world, intricately woven with invisible threads of data, could be unraveled by a determined adversary or a catastrophic accident. The arteries of our global connectivity, the submarine cables lying on the ocean floor, are surprisingly fragile. The logical heart of the network, its core protocols and servers, can be overwhelmed, deceived, and brought to a standstill. The seamless convenience of modern life rests upon a complex and vulnerable technological foundation. Our greatest strength is also our most profound weakness. The consequences of a nationwide blackout are not merely technical, they are deeply human. The first 24 hours would see a swift descent from confusion into chaos. A prolonged outage would freeze our economic engine, fray the fabric of our society, and paralyze the very functions of government. The real-world precedents, from the cyber wars in Estonia and Ukraine to the accidental cable cuts that isolated Tonga, are urgent warnings. This is not a distant threat, but a clear and present danger we must confront with eyes wide open. Yet, in staring into this abyss, we do not find only despair. We also find a reflection of our own resilience. The story of a national blackout is ultimately a story about people. It is about how communities would respond when the digital infrastructure that separates them is stripped away, forcing them to rely on each other once more. It is a test of our social contract, our ingenuity, and our capacity for cooperation in the face of an unprecedented crisis. The potential for chaos and conflict is real, but so is the potential for incredible acts of solidarity and community building. The darkness illuminates our fundamental need for connection, a need that runs deeper than any fiber optic cable and will always find a way to be met. This exploration serves as a crucial wake-up call. The threat of a nationwide internet blackout forces us to ask difficult questions about the world we have built. Have we become too dependent on a centralized, fragile system? Have we prioritized convenience over security and resilience? The scenarios we have walked through are not meant to incite fear, but to foster a profound and urgent sense of awareness. By understanding the nature of the threat, from the methods of attack to the cascading consequences, we empower ourselves to act. We move from being passive users of a system we do not understand to active participants in securing its future and, by extension, our own. The darkness is not inevitable. The challenge laid before us is immense, but so is the opportunity for innovation and progress. The threat of a digital apocalypse is a powerful catalyst, driving governments and engineers to fundamentally rethink the architecture of the internet. We are seeing a concerted push toward building a more robust and decentralized network, one that is not dependent on a few critical choke points. This includes diversifying our physical connections, hardening our digital defenses, and fostering international cooperation to deter would-be attackers. This is the great cybersecurity project of our time, transforming the internet from a brittle web into a resilient, self-healing ecosystem capable of withstanding the shocks of the 21st century. This drive for resilience extends beyond national strategies and into our communities. The development of alternative communication methods like mesh networks offers a glimpse into a future where connectivity is not solely a top-down service but can also be a grassroots utility. It is a future where communities can maintain their own local information lifelines, even if the global connection is severed. This shift in thinking, from centralized dependence to distributed empowerment, is perhaps the most hopeful outcome of confronting this threat. It encourages a new generation of innovators to build technologies that are not just faster and more efficient, but more equitable, durable, and fundamentally human-centric in their design. Ultimately, our greatest defense is a shared sense of responsibility. Securing our digital future is not a task that can be delegated solely to governments or corporations. It requires an informed and engaged citizenry that understands what is at stake. It means supporting policies and investments that prioritize long-term resilience over short-term profits. It involves taking practical steps for personal and community preparedness, not out of fear, but out of a prudent understanding of our modern world. By fostering this culture of awareness, we transform a potential vulnerability into a source of collective strength, ensuring that if the lights do go out, we have a plan to find our way. The internet is one of the most remarkable inventions in human history, a testament to our desire to connect, share, and learn. It has reshaped our world in countless positive ways. The threat of its loss is a call not to abandon this creation, but to protect it, to improve it, and to make it worthy of our ever-growing reliance upon it. The path forward is not to unplug, but to build a smarter, stronger, and more resilient network for the generations to come. The future of our connected world is not yet written. It is a story that we are all writing together every single day, with every choice we make to build a more secure and prepared society.